OK, remember, you can send your questions via the Q&A website. Sometimes you get an answer. And last week, you could also upload and vote for potential questions in our project with online democracy group OurSay. Over 800 people took part in this experiment, and as promised, we've chosen one of the top 5 questions you voted on. It's our next question. It comes from Peter Hinton in Parramatta, New South Wales.
Why is the federal government spending more than $200 million on a program that allows our vulnerable school children to be counselled by men who believe that most of life's problems can be resolved by talking to an invisible despot in the sky?
Now, I'll go to Felicity Hampel first. I mean, this is about the school chaplaincy program, which had another $222 million pumped into it in this last budget. So, would you like to comment on the question?
I'm a firm believer in freedom of religion and freedom of choice. I think in a state education system, if we're going to be true to not having a state religion, we shouldn't have chaplains of any denomination in state schools. If children or their parents want to have a religious education, I see that as a family choice or an individual choice. So that's my first and major point. My second point is that if you are going to have chaplains in schools, then they've got to be true to what their charter is, and it doesn't sound as if they have been. Eric, I'd much rather see the money from school chaplains, go to fixing up pay equity for women straight away, rather than doing it in a staggered basis.
Clearly you have not been talking to a lot of school principals. First of all, in relation to Peter, it is not only men, it is men and women who do the school chaplaincy. And I know a number of principals who basically took your view, Felicity, and did not have a school chaplain. They then spoke to fellow principals, saw how good it was for the students, and they've said to me, Eric, we've changed our mind. We are now going to get school chaplains because it is so good for the school community to have somebody to talk to who isn't a professional counsellor attached to the school in that formal sense, and it has been a great breakthrough, a fantastic program, and if I might say, most of the chaplains work and give a lot more than they're actually paid for, and that is why they have been so overwhelmingly accepted by their school communities.
Quick question, going back to Felicity's earlier point. Do the chaplains who've actually been using this opportunity to try and convert students to Christianity, are they spoiling, or do they spoil the project?
As I understand it, that has not been happening, and it has been...
Well, there's an investigation into it right now.
Well, as I understand it, it has. But maybe we've got a different understanding. But look, if you want pastoral care, you don't need a minister from a particular religion to provide it.
But
what you're doing is taking away the chaplains. But if you want pastoral care, you don't need religious people who are
commenting on a program
committed to one particular religion.
They are not ministers of religion.
Religion's a private choice.
No, they are not ministers of religion.
The vast majority in state schools.
I think all the school chaplains I've bumped into are not ministers of religion.
Can you just explain very briefly what are they?
They have been appointed at the request of the school, so it is up to each individual school to determine.
What is their connection with the various churches?
They can be of any persuasion that they like,
including non-believers.
As I understand it, the majority. As I understand it, the vast majority are attached to churches, but they are interpastoral care, and if I might say, with respect, Felicity, that is, in general terms, what churches do very well, and but to suggest that they are only men, that they are ministers of religion, is to completely misrepresent what they do.
They are all Christians?
I don't know about that. I assume not, but I don't know.
I'm just interested. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anna Rose.
I don't know.
Young people today certainly are considering a lot of ethical and moral questions. But I think consistently students, high school students in particular, are really underestimated. People can make up their own mind about what they believe in or don't believe in, and if they want religious instruction They know where to find it. They can go to a church. This money should
But
be
this
better
is-
spent on
This
trained
is not
teachers.
about religious instruction. It is once again
Well,
a
it sounds like some people have been making it about religious instruction.
No, some people are misrepresenting
Okay,
the program.
I'm going to go to the Minister. It is the government's policy. Perhaps you could give your opinion on whether this is actually working well and why you pumped another $200 million into it.
When I first heard about the issue, I think my reaction was very similar to Felicity's. I think that ever since the 1870s in colonial Australia, we've had a secular education system. Then I encountered the role of these, and the chaplains had initially been an idea from the previous government. Then I went out into the bushfire areas and I saw a number of schools who were rebuilding. Students had been killed, teachers, family in their communities had been killed. And I had my theoretical view of the chaplains, which I have to say was more articulately put by Felicity than me, but, you know, my gut was in the same position as Felicity's brain. But what I would... I'm just not as articulate as Her Honour. I will look at the rerun of that and go, what? But when I saw them in the... Just to get back before I sabotage, when I saw in the bushfires the work of the chaplains, this wasn't, in my opinion, the traditional image of some new church knocking on your door, proselytising on missionary work and seeking full immersion baptism, you know, of the students. In fact, there is a gap in schools, in some schools, where the work of welfare and guidance done in a non-sort of missionary, you must join this faith. I tell you, they worked in the bushfires. And I suppose I've had to reconsider my view. There's some people I respect who have very strong views against it, and I can see the points that both Anna and Felicity made. But I have to say that I know children who attend within my own family. You've got the option of your child not going to listen to this person. Now, you can argue, why should you have an optional chaplain which you can opt out of in a school and say, well, that money's better spent elsewhere? That's fine, I understand that. But I also know that when it's been put to the test, I have to say, the chaplaincy's worked.
OK. I'll very quickly go to John Roscombe on this. I mean, you don't believe in the government funding public education.
No,
how do you...
Tony, I didn't...
No, he didn't say that.
Tony, go back to the tape. I didn't say that. No, look, I think Felicity's misguided. Australia is a country based on a Judeo-Christian ethic. Most Australians regard themselves as Christian. This is a voluntary program. Listen to the parents. Parents are calling for more religion. They're calling for more guidance. Where has the majority of growth in school enrolments come from? It's come from religious, non-government schools. I don't see any problem with a program that gives parents and students the choice of accessing chaplains in schools.
I'm going to interrupt you. I've got hands going up all over the place, so we'll take at least one from down the bottom here.
Sure, just very quickly, how does this issue link to youth mental health? I read a statistic today from the ABS saying that between 2004 and 2006, suicide was the second leading cause of death for young people aged between 15 and 24, only behind motor vehicle accidents. So how does this debate relate to the issue of mental health in young people?
That was in fact one of the drivers. That was in fact one of the drivers when the Howard government implemented the scheme, that there were some holes in the systems that were in place, especially for students to access, and we thought a voluntary chaplaincy system that was to be determined by each school and voluntarily accessed by students would be beneficial, and all the accounts seem to be that it has been beneficial.